Hear me now. These are the two things that I believe saved my life. And it wasn't easy, but at the same time, they were necessary. And I've written some notes, so because I want to get this right for you guys. Number one, blanket forgiveness. I forgave everybody. I had to. And some of you are walking around with grudges from the early 2000s that you need to let go of. And when we walk around with grudges, it now poisons our spirit. It doesn't allow us to be free. Now, the thing about forgiveness is, it's not approval, it's a release. It frees you. It frees you. And if you don't forgive the person, and I've heard many people say, I'm not forgiving that person, or I can never forgive him, or I can never forgive her for what they've done for me, to me. And when we carry that pain around, it shows. When we carry that pain around, it manifests within our lives. And we now start making other people bleed from the wounds that we're carrying. Now, when you forgive people, it frees you, not them. And the truth of the matter is, they don't even need to know that you've forgiven them. And that's how much it is about you. I'm speaking to you now. I'm not speaking to them. And I'll give you a story, right? I went to prison when I was younger. I'm not proud of it, but it is my story. From adversity to power, I had to rise over my challenges. It was as simple as that. I had to grow through what I was going through. That was my story, and it wasn't the end of me. Now, there's two types of time you can do while you're in prison. You can do a lifetime, or you can do dead time. And I chose to do a lifetime and make every single day count by getting 1% better. 1% better over the course of the year is 37%. And I got that from the book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, I believe. And that compounded over 10 years is a lot. So I'm now unrecognizable to my people, but I also went to prison through betrayal. I was betrayed by my very same friends who I grew up with. Very same people I fed in my house. They betrayed me. Now that was hard and that was heavy. And if I didn't forgive them, if I didn't throw a blanket over everybody, now bear in mind I was in prison, and being in prison is like being at your own funeral. You get to see who shows up for you. And I'll be honest with you, nobody showed up. And I'm talking about parents, siblings, family members, nobody. Everybody left me. Now some of you could say, yeah, it's your fault. But at the same time, I still got to see who was who. Now, I could have let that eat me up. I could have become very resentful. And I would now be an angry person. But like I said, I chose to do a lifetime. Unforgivingness is negative. Unforgivingness is, I believe, scarcity. Unforgivingness is lack. And I didn't want these things to show up in my life, as if I was already lacking my freedom. I didn't want to lack anything else. So I chose to give everybody blanket forgiveness. And I would suggest and advise to you to do the same. Now, some of us, or some of you, are carrying around grudges from so long ago. Things that could be let go of, but you don't want to. And we say things like, oh, I'm never forgiving him, or I'm never forgiving her. And the thing about that is, it now starts to show in our face, in our mannerisms, in our spirit. And we don't want that. That now means that that person that done wrong to us now has power over us. They now live rent-free in our lives. And we don't want that. We want to release ourselves. So forgiveness is not approval, guys. Forgiveness is a release for yourself. So much so that you don't even have to tell the person that you're forgiving them. That's how much I mean this. They don't need to know. This is for you, not for them. And I wrote some notes because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah? When you hold grudges, that pain can turn into your personality, and you can start to bleed on people who didn't cut you. And that's powerful. How many of you have snapped at somebody, a loved one, a friend, someone you care about, just because of the pain you're carrying at that point? That pain builds up. That pain builds up over years. And if we don't forgive people and let it go, then again, they have control over you. And we don't want nobody to have control over us. Why? Because we're living a life of purpose. We're living a life of forward motion. We're living a life of abundance. Unforgiveness is scarcity. It's the opposite of. And when we're chasing our dreams, we can't have the opposite of showing up. It doesn't make any sense. Unforgiveness turns pain into poison. At first, it protects you, then it starts to choke you. How many of us have felt like that? Yeah, we get angry with somebody, and then that anger, that upset, at first it's protecting us from the person that upset us. You know, let's talk about relationships. You know, you end it with your partner and then you're angry with them. But that anger is the thing that's protecting you at the time. But then what happens? That anger turns into poison. Poison is hate. How many of you will just willingly drink poison today, I ask? Not many. And the truth about that is no one would. No one would willingly drink poison unless they wanted to die or they wanted to be in pain or injured. Now, I'm asking you to turn that hate or that unforgivingness into the sweetest drink ever. Your release. I like that. I'll say it again. I want you to turn that poison into the sweetest drink ever. And we call it your release. How many of you will drink the best drink in the world over poison? Of course you would. And when you release yourself of that burden, it's almost like cutting a balloon and the balloon flies away. Or, you know, you got an anchor on you and you cut away the anchor. Now you're no longer tied down to that event. You're no longer tied down to that moment. And I get it. Some things are deep. I get it. Some things are deep. I'll say it one more time. I get it. Some things are deep. And some things I will never understand. And I'm not going to claim to sit here and say I understand what you're going through. I only know what I went through. And those 10 years in prison were difficult. Those 10 years in prison were hard. And I still managed to forgive the people that I believed sinned against me. And I believe you can too. And I'm not trying to invalidate your pain here. Believe me, I'm not trying to invalidate your pain. I am trying to turn a negative into a positive. I want you to turn a negative into a positive. Hear me now. Forgiveness is peace. Peace is love. Love manifests as abundance. I'll say it again. Forgiveness is peace. Peace is love. And love manifests itself as abundance. Unforgiveness is lack. Unforgiveness is scarcity. And scarcity manifests itself as nothingness. It's simple as that. It's as simple as that. You end up staying in survival mode. And it's hard to thrive in survival mode. Believe you me, I've been in survival mode so many years of my life. To the point where I went to prison and I was in survival mode. I was in survival mode. And I had to grow through that. I had to use my time to learn what was wrong with me. And imagine I added a spirit of unforgivingness to my healing. Let me ask you a question. Can you heal without forgiving? I'm not sure. So I had to learn to forgive people. And I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It's the hardest thing ever. And it is a continual practice. And some of you have deep-rooted issues with people from so long ago. And like I said, I'm not trying to invalidate those issues. But I'm telling you that that person doesn't even need to know that you've forgiven them. You release yourself in the process and you're free. You're free of that. Blanket forgiveness was one of those things to me, guys, that really, really helped me. Unforgiveness weighs you down, and I couldn't afford that. Now, I know who I was. I know who I am. And the truth of the matter is I used to be so emotional. Now, if I allowed the unforgiveness to continue in my life, I wouldn't have been able to heal. And I would have continued to be that emotional person. Why? Because can you fully gain emotional intelligence if you don't forgive people? And I'll say it all the time, the more aware you become, the less angry you get. And every day I became more aware. And I realized that hurt people hurt people. It's just how it goes. Hurt people hurt people. So that's number one, guys. Forgiveness. If you don't forgive, it will delay your blessings. And when we're living a life of purpose, we can't afford to have delayed blessings. In fact, delayed blessing doesn't align with our purpose. It doesn't. Our purpose is forward motion, whatever it is for you. And delayed blessings doesn't align with that. Number 2, guys, being selfish. I made a video about being selfish before, and I mean it. And I didn't really used to like selfish people. They used to get on my nerves. I couldn't understand why I was so loving and they only thought about themselves. But the more aware you become, the less angry you get. I'll say it again. The more aware you become, the less angry you get. And the more aware I became, the less angry I got. Why? Because I knew that selfish people wasn't actually the problem. I realized that being selfish is actually a deep form of self-love. Imagine that. Being selfish, we're taught that being selfish is horrible. We're taught that being selfish is the worst thing. Now, part of the process of me growing while I was there was unlearning most of the stuff that I learned. So I could now relearn and re-educate myself to re-engineer myself. Point blank period. I had to reconstruct myself after my downfall. So if I was a building, I had to deconstruct myself and then build myself back up from a great foundation. And that's why I said there's 2 types of time, a lifetime and dead time. And I use my time really wisely. Again, I'm not proud of it, but I am proud of the person I became. Or as my mom would say, becoming, all right? Because she read a Beyonce book. Different story, different time. However, being selfish, and I've got a few notes here, guys. This isn't about greed. It's about self-preservation after self-abandonment. Now think about it. If you're like me, I was such a loving person. I was such a giving person. I was such a kind person, especially to my friends. And when you think about it, it's the same way Judas did Jesus, right? Jesus was the same thing. He was so loving, he was so kind, he was so caring. The man walked on water. He could feed 5,000 people. He turned water into wine, and look what happened to him. So what do you think can happen to you? What do you think happened to me? It's evident from history that people take kindness for weakness. And that's what happened. And I ended up being so giving that I started training people to forget that I also have needs. I'll say that again. I started to train people to also forget that I have needs. It was always about them. And let me tell you how it works. The first time you give someone something, they're grateful. And they hope to receive it again. But they're grateful. The second time you give them something, they're less grateful. And they want to receive it again. The third time you give something to somebody, they now become entitled and expect it again. And that's how it goes. And think about it. We have loved ones, we have people in our lives, we have friends, we have family. It's so easy to say yes. Can I have this? Yes. Can I have this? Yes. Can I have yes? It's already 3 times. So now on the 4th time when you can't give it, what happens? Resentment. They now start resenting you. Now, when you're too loving, when you're too giving, when you're unselfish, people keep taking. And they will keep taking until you're completely depleted. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. Everybody knows it. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And I wouldn't even advise it because nothing would come out. You have to fill up your own cup first. And once your cup is full, you then can give to others. I'm selfish. I put myself first. I put myself before my partner. I put myself before my children. I put myself before my whole family. 1, because I know what people can do and I know how people can be. 2, again, it's the analogy of the cup. It's the analogy of the cup. I have to fill up my own cup first. And if I don't fill up my own cup first and attempt to pour from an empty cup, I'm now doing them a disservice. And I don't want to do my family a disservice. I want to be the best I can be for them. And in order to be the best I can be for them, I must be selfish at all times. Being selfish, guys, you start shrinking within your own life. You show up for everybody else's priorities, their problems, their dreams, but you're always last on the list. You're always last on the list. You show up for everybody else's priorities first, their problems, their dreams, and put yourself last when you're not selfish. But the inverse of that is showing up for yourself first, making you the priority, putting your dreams, hopes, life in front of everybody else's. That's how you progress, guys. That's how we live purposeful lives. That's how we live meaningful lives. That's how we help ourselves advance. That is the most beautiful love of all. Self-love. Selfish and self-love. Think about it. Selfish. I love myself so much that I can't put you first. I would like to. I have a kind heart, but I can't put you first. Some of you are putting people first. Some of you are putting people over yourself. Some of you are putting your children first. Some of you will disagree with me, and that's okay. We can respectfully have differences of opinion. But some of you are putting everybody else first in your life and you last. We have to flip that. Today we have to flip that, guys. We have to flip that. Today we have to flip that, guys. We have to put ourselves first at all times, at all costs, at any means necessary. Why? Because had the shoe been on the other foot, what do you think people will do? They'll put their self first. When you're unselfish, you set yourself up for failure. Why? Because you now start judging people off of your own standards. And guess what? People will let you down every single time, even your parents, even your spouse, even your children, even your siblings. It will happen. It's happened to me. It's happened to me. And I used to take care of everybody in the world at the detriment of my own life. And you don't know it's at the detriment of your own life when you're doing it. But the truth is you can put so much effort into your own life that your own life will now start to manifest in the way it's meant to manifest. And guess what? Now I'm selfish. My life is manifesting in the way I want it to manifest. Doors are opening the way I want the doors to open. Blessings are flowing the way I want the blessings to flow. And I want the blessings to flow for you also. On your dreams, in your purpose, in your life. You know this. I know that, and you know this. Come on. Your energy becomes community property when you're not selfish. Your energy becomes community property. Imagine that. Your energy, your God-given energy, your energy that you receive from the source now becomes the property of the community. How good for your life is that? Answer that one in the comments, guys. How good for your life could that possibly be? If your energy is the community's energy, it can't be good for your life. That's only going to be bad for your life. Now, my energy is my energy because I'm selfish, and the community, well, they get what's left over. It's as simple as that. You forget how to say no without feeling guilty when you're not selfish. You forget how to say no. So everybody just takes. Dad, can I have? This one can I have? That one can I have? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? All the while, if it was the other way around, you don't always receive the same love. This is why I say you set yourself up for a fail. It's being selfish definitely saved my life. Now there's loads of positives to being selfish. I wrote it down. I'm going to read them out for you. You reclaim your identity. You stop over-explaining your worth. People should know. People should know your worth at all times. You set boundaries. They now know that they can't mistreat you how they once maybe mistreated you. And this is what I want for your life, guys. They know that your time's valuable. They will know that they can't waste it. They will know that your energy is protected. They will know that they can't use you for things that they want. You show others how to love you properly. That's brilliant, man. Being selfish has showed people how to love me properly. Honestly, it really has. It really has, and it's really helped me. You heal and you attract better into your life. This life of purpose is all about alignment. Are we aligning with our purpose? Is what we say we want in our lives the way we're living our lives? Are we living the lives in alignment with what we say we want? So if we want to be a health and fitness guru, are we eating right? Are we sleeping right? Are we training right? Are we doing the right things? Or are we drinking, smoking, doing things that will take away from that? That's unalignment. Or are we in alignment with our dreams? You're able to heal when you're selfish. Why? Because you spend time on yourself. You get to know yourself better. You treat yourself better. You are the main priority in your life. Guys, hear me now. Being selfish saved my life. It really did. And I want that for you. And I'm not saying that your life needs saving. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that life can be better. Life should be better, and we should be living the life we want. A life in purpose, a life in blessings, and a life where we're able to be who we want to be. When you're selfish, you're also able to attract better things to your life. And that goes without saying. We all want better things in our life, guys. They call me selfish when I stopped breaking myself to help people, when I stopped overextending my love, when I stopped saying yes. They called me selfish. Of course they would, because I now no longer fit into what they want from me. And the more selfish you are, the more you'll see people for who they are. So yeah, guys, 2 things that really saved my life, or at least put it in the right direction. At least put it in the right direction. 1, blanket forgiveness. Blanket forgiveness. That is when you forgive everybody for whatever they've done in your life. You just throw a blanket over it. It doesn't matter. Not for them, but for you. And 2, being selfish. Being selfish, guys. Being selfish. I love you guys. I love making these videos. Drop a comment in the comment section if this related to you. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. People be watching the videos, but they don't be subscribing. So like and subscribe, guys. Let's build a community where we heal, where we grow, where we live a purpose-led life. And like I always say, hear me now, because who don't hear must feel, and who does hear will heal. Positive is a new gangster.